Alina Reyes stood tall as the only human in a room full of aliens. The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched high above her, with seats rising in circles like a massive bowl. 23 different alien species watched her from their seats. Some had many eyes, others had scales or fur, and a few glowed with strange light. For 10 years, humanity had tried to join this council. For 10 years, they had been told to wait, to prove themselves worthy. Today, Earth would finally get its answer. Ambassador Reyes, said the council leader, a tall blue being with 4 arms. We have studied your species for many years. We have watched your wars, your triumphs, and your struggles. Alina nodded, trying to hide her nervousness. This moment would decide Earth's future among the stars. Humanity is, the leader paused, dangerous. Whispers filled the hall. Alina felt her heart sink. You are unpredictable. You fight when you should talk. You take risks no sensible species would consider. Your history is filled with violence and conquest. We have changed, Alina argued. In the last century alone. Silence, thundered a reptilian council member. A mere century is nothing. You remain primitive at your core. One by one, each council member spoke against Earth. They showed images of human wars, environmental damage, and conflicts. They pointed to human fiction that imagined battles among the stars. The council has reached its decision, the leader announced. Earth's application for membership is denied. Alina had expected this. What came next, she had not. Furthermore, humanity will be quarantined to your home solar system for 100 years. The room erupted in approving sounds from the various aliens. Alina stepped forward in shock. Quarantined? You can't. We can and we will, said the leader. Sentinel platforms will be placed around your system. Any attempt to leave will be met with force. After 100 years, if you have proven yourselves worthy, we will reconsider. Alina's hands trembled with anger, but she kept her voice steady. And if we refuse this, prison sentence. The reptilian member laughed, a harsh sound like stones grinding. Your technology is primitive compared to ours. Resistance would be unfortunate. Within a week, massive alien ships arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. They deployed huge platforms that formed a barrier around humanity's home. Earth was caged. When Alina returned to Earth, she expected to find despair. Instead, she found determination. In the UN Assembly Hall in New York, representatives from all nations waited to hear her report. They fear us, she told them, not for what we've done, but for what we might become. The Secretary General stepped forward. Then what do we do now, Ambassador? Alina smiled for the first time since returning home. They've given us 100 years to prepare. I say we use them. Around the room, heads nodded in agreement. Humanity had been judged and found wanting by the stars, but humans had never accepted others defining their limits. The quarantine was meant to contain them. Instead, it would unleash humanity's greatest strengths: defiance, innovation, and the absolute refusal to accept defeat. The Council thought they had exiled Earth. They would learn they had merely challenged it. 5 years had passed since the Council placed Earth under quarantine. On the surface, humanity appeared to accept their fate. Countries worked together better than ever before. The United Nations had grown stronger. People were united by a common goal: to be ready when the quarantine ended. But deep beneath the Antarctic ice, something else was happening. Dr. Sanjay Kapoor wiped frost from his beard as he stared at the equations glowing on his screen. For 3 years, he had studied the alien technology that powered the Sentinel platforms surrounding Earth's solar system. Run it again, he told his assistant. The computer hummed. Numbers flashed across the screen. It's the same result, Doctor, said his assistant. The Council's faster-than-light drives create a specific energy pattern. It's how they can detect ships trying to leave the system. Sanjay smiled. And that's their weakness. He pointed to a section of the equations. They only look for this pattern because they think it's the only way to travel faster than light. But what if there's another way? In a sealed chamber nearby, engineers were building something the world had never seen before, a spaceship unlike any other. It didn't use the standard council method to travel between stars. Instead, it used what Sanjay called the shadow drive. The sentinels are like guards watching all the doors, Sanjay explained to General Williams, who had come to check on the progress. But we're not using doors. We're slipping through the cracks in the walls. 6 months later, the ship was ready. They named it Midnight Runner *. It was smaller than most spaceships, painted black to absorb light. Its engines made almost no noise and left no energy trail that Council technology could detect. Captain Maya Chen was chosen to command it. She had been the top pilot in the Global Space Force and had studied alien languages in secret. "Your mission is simple but critical," Alina Rice told Maya. Alina was now the director of Earth's Response Initiative. "Take Midnight Runner beyond our solar system. Find us a place where we can build without the Council watching." The night of the launch was tense. If the Council detected them, they might attack Earth. The ship was moved to a hidden base in the Pacific Ocean. "All systems ready," Maya reported from the captain's chair. "Shadow drive is charged." "Remember," said Sanjay through the communication link, "the drive creates a bubble around the ship that slides between normal space. The Council won't see you, but you won't see them either while in shadow space. You'll be flying blind." Maya nodded. "We've trained for this." The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. Around Earth, the Sentinel platforms continued their endless patrol, watching for the energy signature of Council-style engines. 3, 2, 1. The Midnight Runner vanished with barely a whisper. No flash of light, no burst of energy. Just gone, like a shadow disappearing when the light changes. 2 weeks later, a small signal reached Earth through a channel the Council didn't monitor. It contained just 3 words. "We made it." Humanity had taken its first step beyond their prison. The Council thought they had contained Earth. They were wrong. The true test was just beginning. Captain Maya Chen stood on a hill, watching the sunrise on an alien world. The sky was more purple than blue, and the sun had an orange tint. After 3 months of travel, the Midnight Runner had reached Ta City, a star system 12 light-years from Earth. "It's beautiful," said Lieutenant Rodriguez, standing beside her. "And it has life," Maya added, pointing to the valley below. The valley was filled with strange trees with silver leaves. Among them walked tall bird-like creatures with colorful feathers and 4 wings. These were the Chirians, the native species of this world. "According to our scans, they have cities and technology," said Rodriguez, "but nothing advanced enough for space travel." Maya nodded. "The question is, do we make contact?" They had discovered something strange in orbit around the planet, small satellites that clearly weren't made by the Chirians. They were Council technology. "The Council is watching them," Maya realized, "just like they were watching us." Back on the ship, the crew debated what to do. Some wanted to leave and find an empty planet. Others wanted to help the Chirians. "We know what it's like to be kept down by the Council," Maya said finally. "I say we talk to them." The humans prepared carefully for first contact. They studied Chirian behavior and created translation devices. Then Maya and a small team approached a Chirian village. The bird people were startled at first. They made high-singing sounds, and their feathers stood up in surprise. But they didn't run or attack. One Chirian stepped forward. It wore colorful bands around its wings, marking it as a leader. "We? No. Stars people," it said slowly through the translator. "Watch us. Long time." Maya was shocked. "You know about aliens." The Chirian leader, who called himself Song of Morning, took the humans to an ancient temple. On the walls were paintings of beings from the stars. Some looked like Council species. "They come," Long time past. Explain Song of Morning. Teach us little. Then say, wait. Always wait. Maya understood then. The council had found the Chirians long ago, but had decided they weren't ready to join galactic society. They were being kept in a cage, just like Earth. We're not like them, Maya told the Chirian leader. We won't tell you to wait. We want to be friends and share what we know. Song of Morning's feathers changed to bright blue, a sign of happiness. We wait too long. Want learn. Want grow. Over the next weeks, humans and Chirians worked together. The humans shared technology and medicine. The Chirians showed the humans their world and resources. Then Song of Morning took Maya to a special place, a moon base built by ancient visitors. Old star map, the Chirian explained, showing her a room with a glowing display of star systems. Many worlds, no council. Maya stared in amazement. It was a map of regions the council didn't control, perfect places for humans to expand without being caught. We help, you help, said Song of Morning. Together, stronger. Maya smiled. Humanity had found more than a hiding place. They had found their first true allies. 10 years had passed since Earth was exiled. In that time, much had changed. What began with one ship had grown into a secret network of human settlements among the stars. Director Omar Nasser stood at the window of his office beneath the Antarctic ice. On the wall was a map showing 7 glowing dots, each a human colony hidden from the council's eyes. How is Hawking Base progressing? He asked the hologram of Dr. Kapoor. Very well, said Sanjay. His hair had more gray now, but his eyes still shone with excitement. The physics team has improved the shadow drive. Ships can now travel twice as fast. This was the strength of their new approach. Each colony focused on different things. Hawking Base orbited a neutron star, studying advanced physics. New Atlantis was built on an ocean world, focusing on biology and medicine. Bushido Station was hidden in an asteroid field, developing defense systems. 4 other colonies completed the network, each with its own specialty. And what about Earth? Asked Sanjay. Do the Council Sentinels suspect anything? Omar shook his head. They still think we're contained. Our regular ships never approach the barrier. Meanwhile, our Shadow Fleet grows. The Shadow Fleet was their greatest secret, ships that could slip past the Council's defenses. They carried people, supplies, and information between Earth and the colonies. On New Atlantis, Dr. Amara Osai was working with alien plants when the alert sounded. A ship was approaching, not a human ship. Unknown vessel requesting landing permission, announced the colony's eye. The colony leaders gathered quickly. This was what they had feared, discovery. The ship landed. It was sleek and silver, unlike council designs. From it emerged beings with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like flowing water. Greetings, said their leader in a musical voice. We are the Vexri. We are surprised to find humans so far from Earth. The colony leaders tensed, ready to signal for evacuation. Do not fear, continued the Vexri leader. We are not friends of the Council. We are traders who travel between the gaps in their territory. The Vexri explained that they were nomads who had avoided Council control for centuries. They moved between star systems that the Council considered unimportant. We have heard of Earth's quarantine, said the Vexri. It was unjust. Many non-Council races believe this. This meeting changed everything. The Vexri became humanity's first trading partners beyond the Chirians. They brought metals and materials humans couldn't find in their small network. In return, humans offered new technologies and medicines. More importantly, the Vexri knew safe routes and hidden places across the galaxy. They knew which planets the Council watched and which they ignored. Back on Earth, Omar received the news with cautious optimism. From outcasts to having allies, he said, the Council thought isolation would weaken us. Instead, it's made us stronger. He looked at the map again. With the Vexri's help, 7 colonies could become 20. Earth's secret empire was growing, built not on conquest, but on cooperation and the shared experience of living in the Council's shadow. The quarantine had just reached its 10th year, 90 more to go, and humanity was just getting started. 20 years into Earth's exile, Commander Lucia Ortega stepped carefully through the dense jungle of planet Verdant. The air was thick with moisture and sweet smells. Huge trees with glowing leaves towered above her. "Movement ahead," whispered her second-in-command, pointing to a clearing. Lucia raised her hand, signaling her team to stop. Through the trees, they saw strange beings moving slowly among the plants. They looked like walking trees themselves, with bark-like skin and branches that swayed as they walked. "The Florins," Lucia said quietly. "The native species. Humans had discovered Verdant 6 months ago. It wasn't on any council maps, which made it perfect for a new colony. But Lucia's team had found something troubling: council harvesting machines hidden in remote areas. They were taking rare plant compounds from the jungle without the Florins' knowledge. The council preaches about respecting other species," Lucia said, "but they steal from these beings in secret." As they watched, something unexpected happened. The sky turned red with warning lights. The Florins looked up in fear. Then ships appeared, angular, black vessels that weren't council designs. "Raxan warships," said Lucia's second-in-command. "The Vexri warned us about them." The Raxan were a brutal species that competed with the council for territory. They had no interest in rules or peace. They took what they wanted. Lucia faced a difficult choice. If her team stayed hidden, the Florins would likely be killed or enslaved. If they helped, they risked revealing humanity's presence beyond Earth. "We can't just watch," Lucia decided, "but we need to be clever about this." She contacted their ship in orbit. "Bring down the modified fighters and the special weapons." The human team moved quickly. They used technology from Bushido Station that could change how their ships looked. To anyone watching, they would appear to be ships of an unknown design, not human. As Raxan soldiers began rounding up terrified Florins, the sky lit up again. But this time, it was human ships disguised as something new. The battle was short but fierce. The Raxan hadn't expected resistance on this remote world. Lucia's team used guerrilla tactics, striking from the jungle and disappearing again. Their weapons were designed to disable rather than destroy when possible. The Raxan retreated, confused by who had attacked them. The Florins were saved, and they looked at their mysterious protectors with wonder. 3 days later, council ships arrived to investigate. They found evidence of a battle, and frightened Florins who spoke of strange new beings who had fought off the Raxan. "Who are they?" a council investigator asked a Florin elder. The elder raised its branch-like arms. "They called themselves Guardians. They said this world is protected." The council ships left, troubled by this news. Someone new was moving in the galaxy, someone powerful enough to challenge the Raxan. Back on their hidden base, Lucia's team celebrated their victory. "We've created a new mystery for the council," Lucia told her crew. "They'll be looking for these Guardians while never suspecting it's really humans." A 3-way shadow conflict had begun: council, Raxan, and hidden humanity. All moving pieces on a board none fully understood. 40 years had passed since the council exiled Earth. Humanity's secret had grown too large to remain hidden. In the command center of Novaterra, their largest colony, Admiral Wyzong faced the moment he had long prepared for. "Council science vessel detected near Proxima Centauri," reported his communications officer. "They've picked up energy readings from our settlement." The room fell silent. For decades, they had worked in secret, building their strength beyond the council's knowledge. Now, a council ship had stumbled upon Novaterra, home to over 2 million humans. "Should we destroy them?" asked his second-in-command. "We could make it look like an accident." Admiral Zhang shook his head. "No, that time has passed." He stood tall, his decision made. "Prepare a transmission to Earth, and ready my ship. It's time the galaxy knows what humanity has accomplished." 3 days later, Zhang's ship, the Defiance approached the Council vessel. It did not use shadow drive technology. It wanted to be seen. Council vessel, this is Admiral Weizong of Earth. He transmitted. We wish to speak. The Council ship tried to flee, but Zhang had positioned other ships to block its path. Not to threaten, but to ensure they listened. On Earth, Director Elena Reyes, once Ambassador Reyes, prepared humanity's greatest revelation. She accessed the Council's communication network, a feat their tech specialists had achieved years ago. People of the galaxy, she began, her message overriding regular Council broadcasts. I speak to you from Earth, a world the Council exiled 40 years ago. Across Council space, beings of all species watched in shock as Elena revealed the truth. Humanity had not been contained. They had 17 major colonies, dozens of outposts, and alliances with 11 non-Council species. The Council claimed we were too dangerous, too unpredictable. Elena continued. But look what we have built without conquest, without domination. The broadcast showed human colonies where different species lived together in peace. It showed advanced technology developed through cooperation, not competition. It showed a different way of expanding into space, one based on mutual respect. We did not build an empire through force, she said. We built a community through friendship. The Council leaders were furious. Emergency meetings were called. Some demanded immediate military action against Earth. But something unexpected happened. Many younger Council members began questioning their leaders. If humans had accomplished so much without the Council's guidance, perhaps the old ways were not the best. On Nova Terra, Admiral Zhang met with the Council ship's captain, a young Tellurian who seemed more curious than afraid. How did you do all this? The Tellurian asked, looking at the thriving colony below. Our teachers said humans were primitive and violent. Zhang smiled. Sometimes being underestimated is an advantage, and sometimes being forced to find your own path leads to new destinations. As news spread across the galaxy, humanity's exile became their greatest triumph. The secret network was secret no more, and the Council faced its greatest challenge in 10,000 years. With humanity's secret colonies now revealed to the galaxy, it was time for a new approach. Ambassador Adebayo Okafor stepped onto his ship, ready for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. Good luck, Ambassador, said Elena Reyes as she saw him off. Her hair was now white, but her eyes still held the same fire from 40 years ago, when she had faced the Council's judgment. We've moved from hiding to building, she told him. Make sure they understand we come as friends, not conquerors. Adebayo's ship traveled to a neutral space station at the edge of Council territory. There, representatives from 12 different species waited to meet the humans who had defied the Council. Some were species like the Chirians, kept protected by the Council and denied full development. Others had been rejected from the Council for being too different. A few were nomadic races like the Vexri, who had always avoided Council control. Welcome, friends, Adebayo began. For 40 years, we humans have built in secret. Now we wish to build openly, with you. The discussions lasted for days. Each species had its own concerns and hopes. The blue-scaled Kilari feared Council retaliation. The crystalline Prism Collective wanted technological exchange. The gas giant dwellers called Drifters sought recognition of their ancient territories. What you all have in common, Adebayo observed, is that the Council has failed you in some way. They claim to represent all advanced life, but they only represent those who fit their narrow vision. On the final day, they made their decision. The Shadow Alliance was born, a coalition of species outside Council control who would stand together. Their first act was to declare the Verdant System protected territory, where the native Florans would be free to develop without interference. Meanwhile, on Earth, something remarkable had happened. 40 years of working with alien psychology and biology had transformed human society. Schools now taught understanding of different minds and cultures. Scientists had created medicines that worked for many species. When Council observers were finally allowed to visit Earth, they were shocked by what they found. "These are not the same humans we exiled," reported one Council scientist. "They have reshaped their cities to welcome diverse life forms. Their children learn translation skills before they can write. They have become something new." The Council responded to the Shadow Alliance with economic sanctions, cutting off trade to human colonies. But Ambassador Okafor had anticipated this. "We don't need their trade networks," he told the alliance members. "Together, we have all the resources we need. What the Council uses to control, we will use to connect." New trade routes were established. Ships from a dozen worlds carried goods between alliance territories. When Council companies lost access to human medicines, their own people began to question the sanctions. "They wanted to isolate us," Elena told Earth's leaders. But now they find themselves becoming isolated instead. The quarantine had 55 years remaining, but it no longer mattered. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as subjects of the Council, but as founders of something new. 70 years had passed since Earth's exile began. What started as humanity's darkest hour had become the catalyst for galactic change. On the Council homeworld of Axiom Prime, heated debates filled the grand chambers. The Tellurians, one of the founding Council races, had shocked everyone by announcing they would leave the Council. "The human situation has revealed flaws in our ancient system," said High Speaker Vorin of the Tellurians. "We can no longer support policies based on fear and control." Across Council space, other species began to question the old order. News of the Shadow Alliance spread, despite attempts to censor it. Stories of human colonies where different species worked together as equals captured the imagination of many. Ambassador Lai Chen, daughter of the famous Captain Maya Chen, arrived on Axiom Prime to meet with the Tellurian leaders. "We welcome you as the first Council race to recognize human sovereignty," Lai told them. "But why now, after 70 years? High Speaker Vorin's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Because we have learned the truth. Your exile was never about human violence or unpredictability. It was about power." The Tellurian revealed a shocking secret. Several elder Council species, led by the ancient Vox Collective, had feared human innovation from the beginning. They saw how quickly humans adapted and advanced. They worried that in a few centuries, humans would surpass them. The quarantine was meant to contain a threat, not to peace, but to their dominance, Vorin explained. As more species began questioning the Council, the Vox Collective grew desperate. In secret, they prepared a fleet of warships disguised as peacekeepers. Their target, Earth itself. "We have intercepted their communications," Vorin warned. "They plan to end the human problem permanently." Lai rushed back to alert Earth's defenses, but when the Vox fleet arrived in Earth's system, they found more than just human ships waiting. A combined force of Shadow Alliance vessels stood alongside Tellurian warships and other defecting Council members. The battle was brief but decisive. The Vox fleet, expecting to find an isolated Earth, instead faced the united strength of a new coalition. As prisoners were taken and ships captured, humans discovered databanks that revealed the Council's greatest deception. For thousands of years, the founding species had secretly limited technological advancement throughout the galaxy. They had deliberately kept younger species dependent on their guidance. They feared being replaced, Admiral Zhang said as he reviewed the evidence. Now in his 80s, he had lived to see his greatest hope. Humanity not just surviving, but helping to transform the galaxy. News of the attempted attack and the revealed deception spread quickly. More Council species defected, joining what was now being called the Galactic Alliance. The Council, once the unchallenged authority in the galaxy, now controlled less than half its former territory. What began as Earth's exile had triggered the greatest political shift in 10,000 years, and the quarantine still had 30 years to go. 90 years had passed since Earth's exile began. The galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Where once the Council ruled without question, now the Galactic Alliance governed nearly a third of known space. Admiral Maya Chen, her hair white, and her face lined with age, stood on the bridge of the Unity *, the largest and most advanced ship ever built by humans. At 93 years old, she had lived to see humanity rise from prisoners to leaders. "Are you nervous?" asked her granddaughter, Captain Layla Chen, who served as her aide. Maya smiled. "I've waited my whole life for this day." The Unity * led a fleet of 500 ships from 47 different species toward Axiom Prime, the Council homeworld. They came not as conquerors, but as diplomats offering a new beginning. On view screens across the galaxy, billions watched this historic moment. The remaining Council races had called for peace talks after years of declining power and influence. "This is not about victory," Maya told the crews before departure. "This is about creating something better than what came before." On Axiom Prime, the Grand Council chamber had been prepared for the meeting. The Vox Collective and their closest allies had retreated to their ancient territories, refusing to participate. But 14 council races remained, willing to discuss a new future. As Maya entered the chamber where 90 years before, Elena Reyes had faced exile, she felt a sense of completion. She had been the first human to break the quarantine. Now she would help end it. "We come with open hands," Maya began, addressing the council representatives. "Not to demand your surrender, but to offer partnership." The human proposal was simple but revolutionary. A new system where all spacefaring races would have equal standing. Technology would be shared openly. Developing species would be welcomed when ready, not kept as protected subjects. "The old council believed advancement must be controlled," Maya said. "We believe it must be nurtured and shared." The discussions lasted for days. Some council members resisted changes to the ancient system. Others embraced the new vision enthusiastically. In the end, agreement was reached. The remaining council races would join the Galactic Alliance as equal members. The quarantine of Earth would end immediately, 10 years early. In a ceremony broadcast across thousands of worlds, the orbital platforms that had enforced Earth's isolation for 90 years were deactivated and dismantled. Ships from dozens of species entered Earth's solar system freely for the first time. On Earth, people celebrated in cities across the planet. What had begun as punishment had transformed into humanity's greatest achievement. "They meant to contain us," said Elena Reyes, now 120 years old and watching from her home in Brazil. "Instead, they forced us to become something greater than we might have been." The Vox Collective and 5 other ancient species remained isolated, warning of dangers in changing the natural order. But their influence continued to fade as the new alliance flourished. Maya looked out at the stars from Axiom Prime. "We didn't build an empire," she told her granddaughter. "We built something much harder and much better." 100 years had passed since Earth's exile began. Today, that chapter of history would officially close. The Great Plaza in New Geneva was filled with people from hundreds of worlds. Beings of all shapes and sizes gathered under Earth's blue sky. Some floated in the air. Others needed special environments to breathe. All were welcome. At the center of the plaza stood a monument, a simple stone pillar with words in many languages, from exile to unity. Captain Layla Reyes, great-granddaughter of Elena Reyes, stood tall in her white uniform. At 32, she represented the new generation that had grown up in a changed galaxy. "Today we celebrate not just the end of quarantine," she announced to the crowd, "but the beginning of our greatest journey." Behind her stood the Boundless *, the most advanced ship ever built. It wasn't designed for war or even exploration within the Milky Way. It was a generation ship, created to reach the Andromeda Galaxy, 2.5 million light-years away. "Our ancestors were told to stay in one solar system," Layla continued. "Now we reach for another galaxy." The Boundless * was massive, designed to carry 10,000 beings from 50 different species on a journey that would take over a century. It would be a traveling world, with children born during the voyage who would continue the mission. As Layla spoke, a new ship entered Earth's atmosphere. It was unlike any design humans had seen before, ancient and powerful. It landed near the plaza, and from it emerged tall, golden-skinned beings with 6 eyes. "The Vox," whispered the crowd. The oldest council race, who had opposed humans from the beginning, had come to Earth. Layla watched cautiously as their leader approached the podium. The ancient being stood silently for a moment, studying the humans and their allies. For 10,000 years, the Vox leader finally spoke. "We guided the galaxy as we thought best. We believed order must be maintained. We feared change." The crowd was silent, waiting. "We were wrong," said the Vox leader. "In 1 century, humans have created what we could not in millennia: true unity among different minds." The Vox presented a gift: star maps of regions beyond the known galaxy that their ancestors had explored long ago. "We request passage on your vessel," the Vox leader said. "Our oldest texts speak of wonders in Andromeda. Perhaps it is time for the teacher to become the student." That evening, as the celebrations continued, Layla stood with her grandmother Maya and the Vox representatives, watching the sunset. "They meant to lock us in a cage," Maya said softly. "Instead, they gave us the time to build wings." The next morning, the *boundless* departed Earth with a crew from 51 species, including the Vox. The journey to Andromeda had begun. On the observation deck, Layla looked back at the shrinking blue planet. "We didn't build an empire," she thought. "We built a family." And that was humanity's greatest achievement of all.